possibility that Jack might actually be what Stanley thought he wasn't. Meanwhile, the freeway rescue had turned into a living room confrontation. Jack had managed to limp the car back to the Ropers after an hour of fiddling with the radiator cap, only to have Karen corner him on the floral sofa. She was aggressive, a whirlwind of New York energy that Jack was ill-equipped to handle while maintaining his safe charade. When Stanley walked in, expecting to find his niece bored to tears, he didn't see a safe young man. He saw a man pinned down by his niece in a manner that was decidedly not Andrew's sister's. "Pack your things and leave," Stanley roared, his face turning a shade of purple usually reserved for prize-winning beats. "I saw what you were doing. You were acting normal. You were behaving like a red-blooded American male. Mr. Roper, I can explain. It was the radiator, the heat," Jack cried, dodging a throw pillow. "Just get out. You're a sick man, Tripper, a sick man. I trusted you with my own flesh and blood." Chapter 4, The Redemption and the Cameo. Jack retreated upstairs, defeated and homeless. He had lost his roof, his roommate's trust, and his dignity in one fell swoop. He found Jeanne and Chrissy in the living room, their expressions cold enough to preserve meat. The silent treatment. Jack sighed, dropping into a chair. "Look, I just came up to pack my bags. Roper kicked me out. I'm a man without a country, or an apartment." The anger in Jeanette's eyes vanished, replaced by a sudden, sharp concern that she tried to hide. "Kicked you out? Why? What did you do to that girl?" "Because his car overheated, and his niece. Well, let's just say she's very friendly. Roper saw us on the sofa and thought I'd converted. He thinks I've been faking the whole time." Just then, a knock at the door revealed a sheepish Stanley Roper. He looked at Jack, then at the floor, then at the ceiling. He looked everywhere but at the three roommates. "I came to apologize," Stanley muttered, his pride clearly taking a beating. "Karen told me." "Well, she said she practically attacked you and you showed no interest at all. She said you were as exciting as a wet paper bag. She feels like she's over the hill." Stanley looked at Jack with a renewed sense of respect, the kind of respect a man gives to a rock that refuses to move even when hit by a truck. "I told her a little fairy story about you, Jack, to save her feelings. Anyway, you can stay. You have your rights, just like any other minority group." As Stanley left, the air in the apartment cleared, the tension evaporating like the steam from his car. Jack reached into his pocket and pulled out a small, velvet-lined box. He handed it to Jeanne. She opened it, and her breath hitched. It was the cameo, her grandmother's cameo. "You bought it back," she whispered, her eyes filling with tears. Well, Jack smiled, the $50 finally serving its true purpose. "I couldn't waste Roper's money on Karen, could I? I had a debt to pay. Happy birthday, Jeanne. Sorry about the Jimmy cake." The silence that followed wasn't the silent treatment. It was the sound of a friendship being mended, one piece of jewelry at a time. Chapter 5: The Sleepwalker and the Stray. The following week brought a new set of challenges to Apartment 201. It began with a series of mysterious midnight excursions that would have made a detective proud. Stanley Roper, ever the vigilant or nosy landlord, had taken to nighttime weather checks at his window. He claimed he was checking for rain, but mostly he was checking for scandal. One such check revealed a ghostly figure in a white nightgown wandering through the courtyard at 3 a.m., looking for all the world like a lost spirit. Chrissy sleepwalking again, Johnny explained the next morning, her face buried in her hands over a cup of coffee. It happened when she stressed. Chrissy was indeed stressed. Her boss, Mr. Rogers or Christopher Columbus, as the office girls called him due to his wandering hands and desire to discover new territories, was making her life miserable. Whenever Chrissy felt overwhelmed by the explorer, her subconscious took her for a walk. But the stress of work was soon eclipsed by a discovery Jack made in the courtyard. A puppy, a small, shivering ball of fur that Larry Dallas, Jack's honest Larry, used car salesman friend, had foisted upon him to settle a $25 debt involving a poker game and a bad radiator. "We can't keep it, Jack," Jonna insisted, even as she allowed the puppy to lick her nose. "You know Roper's rules. No dogs, no babies, no fun. We'll be evicted." "Yeah," Jack grunted, watching the puppy chase its own tail. "We're keeping half the bargain so far. No babies. But look at her. She's homeless." They tried to hide the dog, but in a small apartment with thin walls, a puppy is as discreet as a fire alarm. Every whimper was attributed to Jack stubbing his toe, and the dog food smells were defended as Jack's latest gourmet experiments in beef bourguignon for the soul. The situation reached a head when Mrs. Roper, suspecting nothing but feeling neighborly and perhaps a bit lonely, borrowed some milk and ended up taking home a bowl of what she thought was Jack's French stew for Stanley's dinner. "It's beef bourguignon, Stanley. Jack made it in his cooking class." Helen beamed as she set the bowl in front of her husband. Stanley sniffed it, his nose wrinkling. "Smells like kibble and bone meal. Why aren't you having any, Helen?" "Oh, there wasn't enough for both of us. I had a sandwich," Helen lied, her eyes darting to the kitchen. Just as Stanley was about to take a fateful bite, Jack burst through the door, his face pale as a sheet. "Stop! Don't eat that. It's for a very specific diet." He snatched the bowl and dumped it down the sink before Stanley could even raise his spoon. "He's crazy," Stanley yelled as Jack fled the room. "That kid is losing his mind. My dinner's floating out to sea again." Chapter 6: An Anniversary Surprise. The puppy problem remained unsolved until a moment of sleepwalking brilliance occurred. Chrissy, in a